right, guys, this is Julie. Welcome to Mission 2, your share funnel. So I want to take you on a little tour of a bunch of things that are in today's mission, and tomorrow we begin building. So the first thing is I want you to go and get the Funnel Hacker Cookbook. Now, when you opt in here for the cookbook, there'll be an option to download the PDF, or you can actually have a free hard copy right here. But if you just want the PDF for now, you can click here and it will open up in a new window, just like this. And you can actually go ahead and save it right here on the top of your browser. Now, for the purposes of this actual challenge, I would try not to get distracted by the fact that there's 22 funnel types, because I think it's super easy to be like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But if you're super new to ClickFunnels, this is really going to help you understand how ClickFunnels works, how the elements work, all the different elements that you can put in a page at any one time. And so it's a great resource to have. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is we're going to download the share funnel into your ClickFunnels account. Now, if you don't have a ClickFunnels account, when you click this button, in fact, if I do this, I'll show you exactly what happens. It's going to send you to a page that looks like this. Now, if you have an actual account, you're just going to log in and it'll load it into your account. If you do not, you're going to start your free 14-day trial, and once you do, the entire thing will be in here. Now you can see how this preview shows up. It shows you what I showed you yesterday. This is the share funnel that we're going to be working off of. So go ahead and download that into your account. Now once it's in your account, it'll look like this. Okay, so actually we'll go to steps. It'll be all ready to go in here. And so as we start playing around, we're going to work inside this funnel so you can see how all the elements work together. All right, purchase funnel scripts. Now this is optional, and I will give you free resources if you're not going to use funnel scripts, but I wanted to take you on a tour of it today because it is such a powerful tool. Any of you who've purchased Funnel Builder Secrets, you automatically get all of this in your Funnel Builder Secrets package. If you bought during the pre-training week when Russell was showing you those presentations, you have this. So it takes a little while to navigate around, but go ahead and spend some time watching the quick start video if you can. Now, I love this blueprints. This is kind of a cool feature here. What it does is it shows you all the different doodles of all the different funnels and then explains what script corresponds with it. So let me show you what I mean. So for example, now some of these funnels we're not doing right now, so don't worry about it. Probably this is the one that's closest to what we're doing here. You see you have your free lead magnet, and then you have the core offer, and then the OTO. So this is probably, they're calling it a self-liquidating offer funnel, which is kind of what it is. So you can see the doodle, and it's going to actually show you where on the page what script goes with what. So for example, lead magnet. You need a really good headline, right? Russell has been drilling down how important the hook is. So the headline script is the one that you're going to use. It will bring you right to the headline script. Now all of the scripts are right here on the side. So you can find them easily that way, okay? But you can do it with the blueprints as well. So by the way, when those blueprints, it might help just to keep this open to right click and hit open link in new tab, and then that way you'll go to the right one, but you'll keep your blueprints open. Okay, so you can see here, these are the sales letter scripts. These are the scripts that are going to help you write your sales copy. We don't have to do that today, but I'm just showing you that. There's also a VSL script. VSL stands for video sales letter. If you're completely stuck on what to say in your video, you can work through that VSL script. But I would encourage you to not be afraid to just kind of go a little bit off the cuff, not try to be all fancy and read a teleprompter, because unless you're really good at it, it's actually better to just be who you are, which is, just like, hey, here I am. This is something I want to sell. I think it works a lot better. All right, so if we go over here to the headline scripts, I love that there are example projects, okay? Basically, this is Mad Libs for headlines. He's going to ask you, this is Jim Edwards software, he's going to ask you a bunch of questions, right? What is your niche audience? My niche audience is a mom. What is your main keyword topic? Potty training. What is your second main keyword topic? Toilet training your kid, right? And so you go through them all. So what I'm going to do is I like to grab an example, and it will automatically load that example. So pick the one that's closest to yours, okay? So it will add the Mad Libs, gives you little instructions down here so you can see it. And then all you have to do is hit build. What it will do is it will spit out a ton of headlines. So you see you have got the how-to headlines here. Okay, then you've got X number of ways to get what you want headlines, insider info headlines, mistake headlines, expert reveals headlines, expert reveals secret headlines, warning headlines, and others, okay? Tons and tons of options. So that's the power of funnel scripts, and that's why we recommend it so much. You can see in here, if any of you have the books, Expert Secrets or .com Secrets, he talks about like stories, and he talks about all different kinds. All of these scripts are here. So like if you wanted to figure out how to tell your story, the Epiphany Bridge script that's mentioned in Expert Secrets, right here, it's right here. You can actually fill in the project, answer the questions, hit build, and here is your actual script. So this kind of script you can practice memorizing if you want, if you're telling your origin story or an Epiphany Bridge story in your video, things like that. So I would go ahead and I would just bite the bullet and do this. It's amazing, and you'll use it over and over and over again. I'm a professional copywriter, and I use this when I'm starting just to give me that break from that white paper blinking cursor syndrome. Do you know what I mean? So tons of options here. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to practice changing things around in ClickFunnels. Tomorrow we begin in force building all of this. And so, and also I'm trying to give you a couple days to catch up here so that if you've got things that you're backed up on, you should be doing that. But assuming you're all good, I wanted to give you a quick tour of ClickFunnels so that you understand kind of how it works. Okay, so right now I want to give you a tour of ClickFunnels. So this is what it looks like when you log in, all your stats. If you go up to funnels up here in the top right, that's where your funnels will actually be. And when you go ahead, now there's a lot of funnels in here, you should see your one funnel away share funnel. That's the funnel that we're going to be working in. Just as kind of like a little handy tip, I love bookmarking the pages that I know I'm going to be in a ton. And so once you're logged into ClickFunnels, if you bookmark this, if you copy this and just drag it onto your bookmark right here, like this, when you click on that, it will open you right to your funnel. All right. So let's just kind of give you a little tour of what ClickFunnels looks like. Up here at the top, you'll see steps, stats, context, sales, and settings. So these are going to show you all the steps that you have. The stats will show you how much money you're making, how many leads are coming into your funnel, and all that sort of stuff. You can also use filters so that you can see, date ranges and whatnot. The contacts tab will show you all the people who have opted in at this level right here on your squeeze page. If they have opted in, you will see their name here and you can download the contacts. Sales will be right here. We'll show you how many people are purchasing, and then all the way at the end you have the settings. The settings is where you can rename the funnel to what you want it to be. You can group it with a tag. You can also set a domain. Now we haven't done this yet, domain or SMTP, any of this kind of stuff, so don't worry about that. But I'll show you when we get to it. And then there's some tracking areas if you want to do any sort of, if you plan to do Facebook ads or any kind of ads. Oftentimes people will put a pixel in their funnel so they can get the data back to Facebook. So that's where that goes. You'll see here, this is where you can add your Stripe account. This is the share funnel link, a couple other things. And if you were to ever archive this funnel in the future, it would be all the way down here. And make sure you hit the save and update settings. Okay. If you ever test your funnel and you want to reset your stats before you take it live, you can do it here. You can also clone the entire funnel. So if you decide, hey, this was amazing, I want to do it again with a different product, you can clone it right here. All right, but where we're going to spend most of the time is in steps. Now, you'll see that for every funnel step right here, you'll see right here there is a link. This is the unique link to that step. So if you click this little preview button and you open it up, you'll see this is the link, this is the squeeze page, okay? So if you give that link to anybody, it is live. The funnels are never not published, okay? They're always published. The minute they're made, a link is generated, and so you can access this page. So obviously no one will see it until you start sharing it, but that's the link right there, okay? A lot of people are confused because they see also here there's a little button to preview. And what is the difference between these two previews? This previews the whole step, okay, this one right here. If you were to ever do a split test, and this is a little advanced, but I just want to explain the why behind this. If you were to ever do a split test, you could create a variation of the page. And then basically when you give people this link right here, 50% of the time it would show variation A, and 50% of the time it would show variation B. And so we need to be able to preview each variation. So you would see if I created a variation, it would basically replicate this. And so this preview link is previewing this variation of the page. Okay, so that's why there's two different preview links if you're ever curious about that. Okay, we also have the settings of the step where you can rename it, and you can rename the path. The path is basically what happens at the end of the link. So if you were to go to onefunnelaway.com/go or /squeeze page, okay, so that's the path, and you can set that up there. You'll also see there's a sub menu here. So this is at the step level, and this is at the page level. So at the step level, there's also automation features built in. If you have Actionetics, you can actually add emails and text messages right here in the automations tab. You don't have to go anywhere, just simply set it up. It's amazing, super easy to use, and that's how you can do follow-up as well. And then the last little menu option over here is where you can also update the funnel step name here, the path, and there's a bunch of options of ways that you can basically use this page, right? You can put it on your WordPress site, embed it, add it to Facebook, download the HTML, add a text option, etc., etc. Don't have to worry too much about that today. All right, so that's the overview of how this area works. Now, this is really important. If at any point you want to remove a page from the funnel, you can hit remove from funnel. What will happen is it will show up in a little drop down over here, and you can access it and add it back in at any time. If, however, you click this red X, you will delete it. You won't remove it, you will delete it. Same thing happens if you hit delete. Okay, so just know that those two perform the same action. And then finally, cloning funnel step will clone this step and this page. So if you're playing around today, in fact, I recommend you do this, you can clone just the page that you're working on. And what will happen is when you clone it, you see how it shows here now? It's showing in this drop down. It's not actually in the funnel, it's just here in the drop down. If you wanted to add it to funnel, you would click add to funnel, and then it would appear down here in the bottom. So if you want to play around today, in fact, I recommend you do this so you don't mess up the original one. You can clone one of your funnel steps and then come in here and play around, and then at any time you can go ahead and delete it. So the way the editor works, it works green to blue to orange, and if you were watching Russell's video, you saw how that works. Each section will have these little this little menu bar here. This is the settings, the clone. the save and the trash. Now the save one is super cool because whenever you create a green section, if you really like it, and I like to do this with footers especially, if you really like it, you can hit save and it will ask you to label it. And the next page you go into, you can literally grab that green section and plop it down. So the footer is a perfect example because maybe you have your logo, you have your copyright, you have a couple links, and you don't want to like keep building that again and again and again. So if you save it as a template, then when you're in the next page, you can drag it in. And I'll show you kind of how that works. So imagine for an example, we wanted to add a footer. We would click add new section, and instead of creating a new section, we would go to my sections and I could grab, let's see if there's a footer. Here's a footer right here. You could grab a footer and it will automatically put that footer in for you. And then you can just delete the footer that came on the page. So that's a super cool feature that I wanted to show you because it saves you a ton of time. All right, so that's the green sections. You can also clone them, of course. And on the settings, this is where you can add margins. You can add background images to the actual sections, not the entire page. So you can create all kinds of layers. So like if I wanted to grab this, you see how it created the background in that section. That's different. Okay, so that's where you can do it. That's different than creating a background on the entire page, right? So on the entire page, that's what it does. So the background of the page level, then the background of the section level, then of the row level, and then of the element level. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. So you can actually create a ridiculous amount of layers in this editor if you wanted to. Go ahead and delete this. All right, so that's the green. This is also where you can add padding. Now, some people are confused about the difference between padding and margin. Margin moves the section down or up. Padding creates space between the edges of the section and the elements. Okay, so that's the difference. And you can see with everything, you can either change the background color, or you can actually add the image. And at any time, you can change the width of the green sections by going into the little settings. All right, so then once we go down to blue, now we're at the row level. You'll see the same thing happening. You can have margin, there's padding, alignment, background colors, background images. There's also in the advanced tab some extra features like borders. So if you wanted to create a border around your row and you wanted to change the color of the border like that, you can even change the style of the border. And you can also create shadows behind the border, okay? So that's an option there. You can also round out the edges if you want. So this happens at the row level. It actually happens at the section level as well. Now, if I added a border, it makes sense to pull the margin down so you can see how that looks. See how that works? All right, so that's at the row level. Now, I'm going to just get this out of the way right now. Sometimes when you create a new row, you have multiple columns. And sometimes in those columns, you'll see that there's a background in the column. And I know this has always confused people. They don't know how to change the background color of the column in the row, right? So they go here to section and they're like, oh, let me change it. But then it changes the background of everything. And they just want the background of that one. Where is that? So if you go up here to columns, and you drag your mouse down, you will see a little blue over outline kind of going over each column. If I click here on third column, that is where the background color is. Okay, so the only way to get to that, and see, then you can change it right here. See? The only way to get to that is by going up here to columns. Okay, that's a little confusing for people sometimes. And then inside the section are the elements. Now the elements are going to always be orange. They have the same thing. They have the little move button. You can move them anywhere you want. also has the clone button and the settings button. So the settings menu will change depending on the element. Since I think there's 40 elements, every single element has a little bit of a different menu. Has the basic settings, the margins, the fonts, the mobile version, colors, things like that. And then in the advanced, depending on what it is. So for example, this is a text element. You're seeing a ton of details on what you can do with the actual text, from line height to shadowing to icons, padding, etc., etc. If you click on something like this, which is considered an image, you'll see not as many options in the advanced. There's a few things: border, radius, alignment. Sometimes there's this option, which is themes, which allows you to create borders and stuff around images. Certain elements have that. So the way you add elements to the page is by simply figuring out where you want to put it and then creating this little plus button. You can also go over here and hit add element, and you'll find all the elements are categorized and labeled here. One thing to know, if you're not sure about something but you don't want to fully delete it, I recommend that you go to the settings and just click hide. And if you ever want to undo it, you can go to manage and you can quickly look at the little eyeball and you'll see what you hid and you can unhide it. That's a great way to, not regret deleting something. So that's basically how the editor works. And what we'll do is tomorrow we'll start going through the squeeze page. I just want to get you really comfortable with the app and how the app works. Over here, you'll see that there's two ways to view this. You can view it desktop or mobile. So at this point, we've got about 50 to 60% of traffic on mobile. So it's really important that you make sure everything is mobile optimized. And I have some videos and stuff that I can send you if you get at all confused about that. And then finally, in settings, this is going to be the basic settings of the page. We'll go in depth in this tomorrow. So that's how it works. Make sure you save often, and when you're done playing around, you can go ahead and hit the X. Now each different page type, you'll see that this is an opt-in page type, a sales page type, order form, OTO, order conf, and then members area. They have different options depending on the template you've chosen. So as you go through, you'll see things are available on the order form style template that aren't available on the squeeze or the sales. And so I'll start to point those out as we go. All right, so get ready and I will see you on the next mission.